We have a very special guest today. I'm delighted to welcome Carol Shanahan, who is business owner and chair of Port Vale Football Club. Welcome to Proper Tea with OBI.
Wrong colour, but right cup.
Yeah, so this is, I am a Stoke fan actually. Did you know that?
Well, I always have this thing that, you know, everybody's got an inner Vale fan. They just haven't all accessed it yet. And some people put, you know, bigger barriers around themselves to protect it. But it's there. It's inside.
I'm absolutely, well, and we'll come on to it in more detail, but I'm very, very fond of what the Vale have been doing, largely down to your good self. So really, I wanted just to ask you how you've been getting on during lockdown. Obviously been very busy.
I've been busier than before lockdown. We're working every day. We have a meeting every morning, which is the leadership team with Vale and Selectix, Hub Foundation, Port Vale Foundation, and now the police. We've now got our dedicated football officer. I've convinced the police that she should be a dedicated football club officer, and that's, you know, if they want community policing, and if you view Port Vale and the area around Port Vale as a community, then that's the best way to police it. Anyway, they've gone with it, and we've now got Nikki back, which is wonderful, and so she really helps us and helps us to support the Port Vale community in the north of the city.
Yeah, and obviously I've known you all my life, and our families go back an awful long time, but I've never had the opportunity to ask you about Synectics. So you set it up, was it in '92?
Yeah.
Just tell us a bit about the business and the story about the business. It must be an interesting one.
Okay. Very quickly, Kevin and I, because Kevin's my husband, Kevin and I met in 1979. We're both in the IT industry in Birmingham, and we sold kit for a manufacturer and services on that. So our customer was British Leyland, which at that time had 250,000 staff and had 100 sites over the UK, and we looked after all of them. And we had these very strong ideas about people being at the centre of business, and that if you look after people, then the business will look after itself, really, you know. And that, but if you run it as a finance base, then it's not necessary that the people will get looked after, but the people will look after the finance. So to us, it was the logical way of doing it. And so over the years, we worked at different places, and then we decided in '92 to have a go at setting up what I call putting right the moans from the pub on a Friday night. Because I say, if you want to know what's wrong with your company, go and sit in the pub on a Friday night and listen to them. Because, you know, once you've filtered out your perpetual moaners, you will actually hear what is the right thing to do for your business and how to improve it. And we were two of your big moaners in the pub. And so we set it up, and we work with data, and we work with central government, the Cabinet Office, banks, building societies, insurance companies, and we use large amounts of data to prevent and detect fraud. And what makes our system so good and the way that we work is because we are people-based, we build up the relationships. So all of our clients share their data, they share their frauds, because we work on the basis that fraudsters aren't brand loyal. If they're going to commit fraud, they'll probably commit fraud, you know, across more than one bank or insurance company. So if you're going to sign one on, you want to know. It doesn't necessarily mean that you wouldn't take them on, but you certainly want to know that they're going to be a higher risk and keep an eye on them. And so we've done that, and over the 20 odd years, we'd got to 360 staff, and we were in 3 sites over Newcastle and Lyme. And I was very snotty about that. I used to call it Newcastle actually, because if people say, oh, you're from Stoke-on-Trent, I go, no, we're Newcastle actually. And I was as snotty as you could get. But we wanted to get one office where everybody would fit together. And my eldest daughter, Kate, who works with us, and also Claire, who is one of our leadership team, they came back with this old Co-op supermarket as was, and in Burslem, and it was next door to Port Vale. So we moved 360 people across the D Road. If anybody who knows Stoke will know the D Road. And, people don't move that way across the D Road, but we did. And when we got there, it was amazing. The building's amazing, and I really fell in love with Burslem. I fell in love with its character, with its architecture, with its people, and so we started to do a lot of work with the community. And it was obvious to me that if we really wanted to help Burslem, we would make Port Vale successful. Because to me, if your football club's successful, it permeates out into the local area. And so it was really to help the community was the major reason that we bought it. The club had been, as you know, it had a really bad reputation for a time, and people didn't need anything else to feel apologetic about. And so we wanted to go in there and again put our people-based philosophies and values and see if it works in football. And everybody said to me, "Oh, football's different, Carol, football's different." So I thought, well, it must be. And then about Christmas, I thought, no, it's not. It's hospitality, it's entertainment, but it's people-based. And as long as you run it like that, it isn't different. And so we started to just run it our way. So I looked for, at the beginning, I looked for clubs that I was going to aspire to, so I could go and learn from. And by about October, I thought there aren't any. Actually, I want to just do it our way because there's nobody. Yeah, I mean, a football fan. I'm not a great fan of the Premier League. However, if ever we got there, I'd get over myself. But I'm not. I'm a fan of. You know, when I was a kid, I lived in West Brom. Mum was the secretary to one of the Albion doctors, and I used to walk down on my own as a 9-year-old and watch the Albion. I've got intense knowledge of 1968 to 1970 West Bromwich Albion. I don't know anything before or after, but you know, the Jeff Aspel time I know. And then when I was at college in Lincoln, it was at the time when Graham Taylor was there, and Lincoln won the record for the number of records won in a season, and the whole city just was on a high. It was everywhere you went, it was just buzzing. So I've always known the power of football and the power of bringing it into a community and what it does for me. I love sitting on the terraces. In fact, one of the things I miss most since we bought the club is that I don't sit on the terraces. I did have one match where it really drove me mad, and at half time I went over and I sat with our fans because I really miss that. I miss that feeling of all being in together, and we win together and we celebrate together, but also we commiserate together if it doesn't go well. And I love the singing and the whole sort of energy of football. I just love. So yeah, I am a football fan, and I sort of view football a little bit like Catholicism. In particularly Port Vale, because you've got your cradle Vale fans who have no idea why they support Vale. It's just right deep inside them, and it's been there since they were a kid, and you can't move it. It's there. And then you get your converts, and they're very evangelical and they're very questioning of everything, and I'm in that latter category. And the club needs both, and that's where I think the power of Port Vale is that we've got so many. I've had a letter today from a man who has been a season ticket holder since 1954, and I get a lot of those. It's almost like a competition. They tell you in the first sentence, "Hello, Carol, I'm a Port Vale fan, and I've been one since 1960 or 1954 or 1952." And I love that part. I love that heritage and those roots, and I feel this great feeling of being a steward of something that is bigger than all of us. And during our era, we have to grow it so it's better than it was when we found it. But we are there for the fans.
Will you write back to the fans?
Oh yeah, no, I write back to everybody.
Oh, good. And how was it?
The only one I haven't written.
Go on.
was going to say, I do get back to everybody, but there was one man who said, you know, and he was from Cardiff, and I didn't really fully believe he was a Vale fan, and he said, you know, oh, I think you're lovely, and I smoke a yellow pipe, so would you send me a photo and put to the pipe man? And I thought, no, this isn't. I'm not sure we're fully authentic here, but ordinarily I write back. We've phoned all of our season ticket holders during lockdown, the players, the manager, team, just to check on them all, see how they all are.
And what is it like actually trying to buy a football club? I mean, is that a tricky negotiation for someone that's, you know, obviously experienced in business? You tried to buy it a few times, didn't you?
Yeah, we tried for 3 years to buy it. I don't think that there is a standard way of buying a football club. I think it depends on who you buy from, why they're selling, and what they want from it. I mean, football certainly brings out the extremes in people.
Yeah.
On ours, the first time when we backed off from it was because you couldn't do a business negotiation. And part of being a business person is you get some pride in the deals that you do.
Yeah.
And you want to hold your head up. I mean, you know, you'll be the same with your deals. You want to think, I got a really good deal out of that. And it was apparent that we weren't going to be able to get a good deal. So we backed off. And then you could see the club just getting worse and worse and worse. And the fans started to demonstrate, and it really wasn't very good at all. And we went to Cheltenham, I remember it very well, and we were sat with the fans, and some of the organisers, we actually sat near the organisers of the demonstration, coincidentally. And afterwards, we said to them, look, you know, if there's a way in the background that we can help, you know, we happily will. And they said, well, we need an option, Carol, because even if we persuade him to sell, there's no other alternative. So we need an alternative. And we were driving home from Cheltenham, and we just got to the motorway. We just said, to hell with it. We're going to do it. We're just going to do it. And, you know, we're just going to park any idea of doing a good deal. And the way I viewed it, the way I framed it in my mind to be okay with it, was that someone had the club hostage. So someone had our loved one hostage, and we had to pay the ransom. And you don't negotiate with a hostage taker.
Yeah, really.
So once I got to that, then it was okay. And you know, we paid way over the odds. But I was saying to Kevin, look, when we get to the Championship, that'll be a player's leg. Let's just keep this in perspective, you know. And
it's never a bad deal if you know it, is it? You know.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we also had the option to just lease the ground. And that's what's cost us so much, was that it was going to cost us many millions to buy the land, the stadium itself. And we just knew that we had to do that. We had to be masters of our own destiny. We couldn't have just bought the club and not the ground. So we did that, and we're paying that over a couple of years. But I think that was the right thing to do.
Well, I've noticed a massive difference in, you know, when I go to watch Stoke and I put the local radio on after, and the Port Vale fans that ring in this season compared to the last, God knows how many, there's real, you know, you've given everyone real hope again and positivity throughout Port Vale and throughout Stoke-on-Trent. So, you know, fair play, well done for doing that. But the big thing you've done recently, which obviously raised an awful lot of eyebrows, was Port Vale, 1 point, 1 place outside of the playoffs, and you agreed to terminate the season, finish the season. Clearly, lots of the techie accumulator had you down for, if you finish the season, you would have made the playoffs. So, what a massive decision. Why?
I've been a member of a board of directors for 30 years now, 28 years. And when you're on the board of directors, you represent your own area, and you represent it as well as you can. But when you come together as a board, you represent the organisation. and you're there for the organisation as a whole. I sat and listened to all of the other League Two chairs, and it was very vocal meeting, and everybody gave their situation and their concerns and their hopes. And Colin actually texted me. Colin's our CEO, and he texted me and said, "How are we going to vote?" And I just said, "Let me, I'm going to speak." And what I got to in my mind was that I wanted to carry on. Our home record was we'd only lost one game all season. We had 5 home games left and only 4 away. Our form was, I think we were 3rd in the table for form. We were doing well. We got people that had been injured that had come back. So everything was going to, we would get in the playoffs. And in fact, the week before, we were in the playoffs, and it's only because we let in a late goal, which was an equaliser, that on the Saturday before, that we weren't in the playoffs. And I could sit there and really take my frustration out on everybody else. And I am frustrated because it would have been wonderful. But the fact was that on that day, we weren't. And that wasn't personal. That wasn't anybody having a go at Port Vale and saying, well, we'll stop now so Port Vale can't go on. That was the day that the virus hit. And the reality of it was that there was always going to be someone who felt that they had missed something that would have been rightfully theirs if they'd have had the chance to prove it. And this year, that was us. And I felt that Rick Parry and his team needed a strong mandate, and that if I was them, I'd want that to say that it was a unanimous decision, and I felt that we'd have to do it. And so I voted, the right thing for football, the right thing for League Two. And okay, it was hurtful and horrible, and phoning John Asker, the manager, afterwards was the hardest thing. Because in football, as you know, you fight to win till the whistle blows. And to say that the whistle hadn't yet blown and I'd voted to stop is, in some ways, is a terrible thing. Why would you do that? But we have a saying in our family about there's a difference between being right and winning. And we might have been, really right in that we deserved the chance. But if I'd have pushed on, we wouldn't have won. A would never have got the vote through. But equally, it wouldn't have been right. They're our colleagues, okay, we fight them for 90 minutes on a Saturday. But we're all in that together. We're all members of the EFL, and it wasn't right to put our needs above everybody else's when we're in the middle of a national pandemic of unprecedented, proportions that no one's ever experienced. So for me, it was something that hurt, and it was horrible. But and I think some journalist said to me, are you still happy with your decision? I said, I'm not happy. Happy is the wrong word. I'm comfortable. It's the right decision. But am I happy that we're in League Two next year? No. But the players and the manager have been teasing me because on the interviews, I keep saying 8th is the worst position. I don't do 8th. And that's going to be our mantra next year. We don't do 8th. And so...
Well, I'm sure
we'll channel it. I mean, next year we surely will channel it to be where we should be.
I'm sure everyone and all proper football fans will be rooting for you next year. But not only that, you've not lots of football clubs have just shut the grounds on safety reasons. You've actually since buying the club, made it a real community club, and you've made a big point of investing in Burslem and the local area. Can you just tell us a bit more about the sort of the repurposing that you've done and what the great things that are still coming out of Vale Park?
Yeah, I'm chair of the foundation, the charity side of the football club, which most clubs have, and I also have been working for the past 3 summers on holiday provision for particularly but not exclusively, disadvantaged kids. And we go into schools and provide food and activities during the holiday periods. This really scoops up kids who are on free school meals, for example, that there is no provision for them over the holiday periods. But also you've got areas in Stoke-on-Trent where parents can't really let their kids out to play because it isn't safe. Yeah. And this gives them a safe place to go. So we've been building this up for the past 3 years. Last February, Kevin and I decided to start a charity because we weren't going to buy a football club, so therefore we would focus on the charity. And we set up a charity called the Hub Foundation, HUBB, which is the Arabic for love, which is really important to us. And so we've got the Hub Foundation, Port Vale Foundation, Synectics and Port Vale, and I just brought everybody together and said, how do you want history to write this period for us? How do you want to look back on it when you're in a dinner party in a few years' time and they say, oh, what did you do during the COVID lockdown? What do you want to say? Because
your story might be quite long.
Oh, I have very long dinners. In fact, people stop asking me questions after a while. And so everybody, just without hesitation, said we want to do all that we can. And so we opened up the kitchen and said, right, we're going to cook meals. We've got huge kitchens there, and we're going to cook meals, and we're going to deliver those because a lot of the families haven't got the facilities to cook. And also going through a time like this where it's really hard, you haven't got that sort of creative and mental energy to cook. Yeah. So we thought that would be easier, but also we would collect food. We would also do the activity side, and so we've got science kits that we deliver, and we deliver them to all the siblings as well, because we're not delivering to one child and then having the others fighting that they want it, so they all get one. And we've got volunteers coming in to help us, and as of today, because I just had a figure before I came on, in just under 8 weeks we have prepared and delivered 45,000 meals. Thank you. That is in partnership with JCB. JCB have also been delivering homemade meals for us, and a local catering company, we gave them some money as well to help them through their time, because obviously, you know, they haven't got any income coming in, so we tried to help them as much as we could, and they've been delivering some food for us. But yeah, 45,000. Wow. And I'm just so proud. And we've now got a few families saying, actually, we don't need your help anymore. We lost the job, but now we found some work, or something's happened that they're coming through the period and they're okay. And that's important to me, because we don't want to build a dependency. We want to be there to support the families when they need it, but also to help them to not need it in the longer term, because that's the best thing for them. So Port Vale is alive and kicking, and you know, it's so busy.
Are you doing some training of police dogs as well?
I know. So Nikki, who's our football officer, said, could we have the police dogs come round to do the training, because everywhere where they do training, it's all closed, and like the I don't know, the sport, anyway, they're all closed. And so I said, yeah, you know, that would be absolutely fine. So they are coming and hiding drugs in our stands, and then the police dogs have to go and find them. I said, please don't do it in the stand where we're doing all the food, because I don't want one to accidentally end up in somebody's food package or something.
Yeah, no, that's not a great idea. And this is a bit of a random question to test your memory.
Yeah.
When I told my dad I was going to speak to you, he said, well, you and Kevin kindly used to put him up for a couple of days a week before we moved to the area.
Yeah.
And he used to get very excited about his breakfast. Can you remember what he used to have for his breakfast?
Oh, gosh, no, I can't.
He said he always had crunchy nut cornflakes in.
Cornflakes. I remember I did some work with your dad, because he was at Staff's Uni, and he needed some help. And so I went into a meeting with him, and I took the notes, and I was only there to take notes. I wasn't there to speak. And I remember that they were all, I mean, from my interpretation, they just had so many opportunities that they just didn't know what to do with it all. And I remember I suddenly heard myself saying, seems to me you've got an insurmountable opportunity. And they all laughed, and I thought, did I really just say that? I thought I only thought it. And I still remember.
That's the world of academia, isn't it? And my mum, I spoke to my mum, she sends her love to you as well.
Send my love back, yeah. I
But
still miss you all in here.
Listen, Carol, even on behalf of a big Stoke fan.
Oh, do you know, I should have had my veil top on. Oh, stay there 1 minute.
Yeah.
Do not go. There. That's what we need.
There you go.
This, my friend knitted me this. This is my pom scarf. It's now been washed. And it's become quite iconic. I even did a speech in the House of Lords wearing this.
Oh, fantastic.
So it has been everywhere. So up the veil.
Up the veil. Well, fair play. And, on behalf of everyone out there, what a remarkable job you've done. And I think, fair play. Massive respect to you, Carol. And thanks so much for coming on. It's been lovely to see you.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thanks a lot.